Okay, good morning everyone. Today we will discuss experiment 2 which focuses on the work energy theorem. Now in the previous experiment, we have discussed motion and force using kinematics and Newton's law. And in this experiment, we move one level deeper by asking when a force causes motion, how much energy is being transferred? Now, the central idea under this experiment for today is that work is a form of energy transfer. When an elastic cord pulls the cart, it does work on the cart, and that work should appear as an increase in the cart's kinetic energy. Okay? For the objectives of this experiment, we're going to compare the work done by the elastic cord with the cart's change in the kinetic energy and to observe the effect of increasing cart mass on motion and energy transfer. This means that the experiment is not only about making the cart move. The more important goal in this experiment is to determine whether the measured work and the calculated change in the kinetic energy agree with each other. We have also tested the cart under different mass condition. We have your empty cart, we have cart with one added mass, and we have your cart with two added masses. This allows us to observe how increasing mass affects your velocity, affects your kinetic energy, and your energy transfer as well. Okay, let's start by discussing work done by a constant force. Work is done when a force causes an object to move through a displacement. For a constant force acting in the same direction as the displacement, we use this formula, W, or the work, is equal to the force, or F, times the displacement, which is D. For example, if a force pushes or pulls an object and the object moves in the same direction as that force, mechanical work is done. The greater the force and the greater the displacement, the greater the work. Now, a force alone does not automatically mean work is done. For work to occur, three conditions must be present. First, a force must be applied to the object. Second, the object must undergo displacement. And the third, at least part of the force must act in the same direction as that of your displacement. If the object does not move, then no mechanical work is done, even if a force is being applied. For example, if you push a wall and the wall does not move, your muscles exert effort, but the mechanical work done on the wall is zero because the wall has no displacement. This distinction is important in this experiment because we are actually measuring the energy transfer associated with your motion. Okay? Now, for the unit of your work, that would be equal to 1 joules is equal to 1 Newton and meter. This means that 1 joule of work is done when a force of 1 Newton causes a displacement of 1 meter in the direction of the force. So whenever we calculate for the work, the final unit should be in joules. This also explains why the area under the force position graph has units of joules because force is measured in newtons and the position or the displacement is measured in meters. Now, for a constant force, work can be calculated using work is equal to force times distance. However, in this experiment, the force was not constant. The cart was pulled by an elastic cord, and the force exerted by the elastic cord depended on how much cord was stretched. When the cord was stretched more, the pulling force was greater, and when the cord shortened, the force decreases. Therefore, we cannot accurately calculate the total work by using only one force value multiplied by the displacement. Instead, in this experiment, we need to analyze the changing force over the cart's position. For your elastic cord, it behaves approximately like a spring. When the cord is stretched, it pulls harder, and when the cord is stretched less, it pulls with less amount of force. Because the force changes as the cart moves, the force is variable, and this is why the experiment used a force position versus, this experiment used a force versus position graph. Now, the force position graph allows us to account for the changing force throughout the entire motion instead of just pretending that the force stayed the same. Okay, for the elastic cord, it follows your Hooke's law, and that approximately is equal to force is equal to the negative value of the elastic or spring constant multiplied by the stretch from the equilibrium. Okay, apologies for that disruption. Again, for the elastic cord, it is approximately equal to the force is equal to the negative K, or the elastic or spring constant, multiplied by the stretch from the equilibrium. Now, the negative sign here, guys, means that the restoring force acts opposite to the direction of the stretching. In practical terms, we can explain it that if we pull the elastic cord backward, the cord pulls forward. The more we stretch the cord, the stronger the restoring force becomes. Now, when your cord is pulled back, the elastic cord stretches, and the stretch cord stores that elastic potential energy. And when the cord is released, the cord contracts and pulls the cord forward. And as the cord shortens, the force changes. The force is the strongest when the cord is most stretched and becomes weaker as the cord approaches its relaxed position. So that means that all of your potential energy is being converted into kinetic energy. Now, to determine the work done by the cord, we must consider the full force position relationship, not just one force position value. Okay? Now, for variable force, the work can be calculated from this equation, and the area under the force versus position graph. That means that your W is equal to the integral of the force multiplied by the distance. This means also that your work is equal to the area under the force times the position graph. This is one of the most important points of the experiment. Please remember that since the elastic cord force changes, the work done by the cord is best determined graphically by calculating the area under the force position curve. Now, for the physical significance of area under the curve, the area under the position force curve represents the mechanical energy transferred to the cord, and the units here is just joules. Okay? The area under the force versus position gives us work in joules, and when we use that area, we are not just finding the mathematical area actually. No, we are actually estimating the amount of work done by the elastic cord on the card. So that's very important when you calculate for the area under the curve. Hopefully in your graph you can do that. Okay? For your work energy theorem, the work net is equal to the change in your kinetic energy. This means that the net work done on an object is equal to the object's change in kinetic energy. If we try to expand the equation, that would be equal to the W net is equal to the final kinetic energy minus the initial kinetic energy. Or if we try to divide the equation of your kinetic energy further, that will give us 1/2 mv squared. Since this is the final kinetic energy, this will give us the final velocity. And for your initial velocity, that would give us your initial velocity. So in this experiment, the work done by the elastic cord should be approximately equal to the increase in the kinetic energy of your car. Not technically equal in terms of the values, but the values should be near enough to each other because we have to account for the sources of error in this experiment. Okay? Now, if positive network is done on the cart gains kinetic energy. And if negative network is done, then the cart loses kinetic energy. If the network is zero, the kinetic energy does not change. And in this experiment, the elastic cord, we actually performs the positive work on the cart because the cart speeds up and it gains kinetic energy. This is also why we have to compare the area under the curve of the position force graph, which can be used to calculate your change in the kinetic energy. Now, what is kinetic energy? Kinetic energy is the energy of motion. So that would be equal to 1/2 mv squared. M here is the mass of the cart, and v is the velocity of the cart. The kinetic energy increases when the mass increases, when the velocity increases, the mass and the kinetic energy also increases. Okay? However, velocity has a squared effect. Unlike with your mass, which has a linear effect, that means if the mass is doubled, that means your kinetic energy also doubles. However, for your velocity, if your velocity doubles, that means you have to multiply 2v squared to your calculation to calculate for your kinetic energy. So that means that your kinetic energy increases fourfolds for your velocity. Okay? Now, for your initial kinetic energy, that would be equal to 1 half mvi squared. And for your final kinetic energy, that would be equal to 1 half mvf squared. So we can calculate for the change in kinetic energy as final kinetic energy minus your initial kinetic energy. And in this experiment, the cart starts from rest, so we can approximate your initial velocity as 0. Therefore, we can imply that your initial kinetic energy is also 0. So we just cancel it out. That means the change is kinetic energy is just equal to the final kinetic energy. Are we clear with that, guys? Can I get a thumbs up if everything is clear so far? Okay? Now, for the elastic potential energy before the release, the elastic cord in this case is being stretched. And at that moment, the cart is not yet moving significantly. So the kinetic energy in this case is approximately equal to 0. However, the system still contains energy. And that energy is being stored in the stretch elastic cord as your elastic potential energy. And we can calculate for your elastic potential energy as 1 half multiplied by the constant of the cord or the spring multiplied by the displacement here, or x squared. Okay? At this moment, okay, the energy is being stored as a potential energy. Okay? And this potential energy is being converted into kinetic energy once the cart is released. Now, the cart motion will be converted, the energy stored in your cord will be converted into kinetic energy. Okay? When the cart is released, your potential elastic energy is being converted to the kinetic energy of the cart. The elastic cord contracts, the cart accelerates, and the velocity of the cart increases. And please take note that as the velocity increases, the kinetic energy also increases. This is the physical process being tested in this experiment. And when your stretch elastic cord stores energy before release, and after release, that energy is being transferred to the cart as your kinetic energy. Okay? Now, in an ideal energy relationship, the work done by the cord should be equal to the change in the kinetic energy. That means that the potential elastic energy being lost is just equal to the kinetic energy being gained. Now, for your ideal energy relationship, this assumes that there is no friction, there is no air resistance, there is no internal energy loss, the sensor readings are perfect, and there is a perfect track leveling. But that doesn't happen in real life as you observe in your experiment. You have to rerun your experiment several times in order to gain or in order to obtain good values. Now, in that ideal situation, all the work done by the elastic cord becomes kinetic energy of the cart. However, in the actual energy relationship in the real laboratory setup, the work done by the cord is not really equal to the change in kinetic energy. Now, the values may differ because some energy is lost or not fully transferred into the card's kinetic energy. Possible losses includes friction between the cart and the track. There are some internal deformation of the elastic cord. There is air resistance. There are imperfect track leveling. There are vibration, sound, and sensor limitation. Now, this does not violate conservation of energy. It only means that not all of your energy is being transferred. No, it appears as measured kinetic energy of the cart also accounts for some losses. So you can calculate using this formula, work done by the cord is equal to the change in the kinetic energy minus your losses. Okay? Now for your velocity versus time graph, this shows how the cart's velocity changes as the time passes. The expected pattern is that the velocity starts low or near zero, increases after release. So what happens? It increases after release and may reach a peak here, and then it may decrease because of friction, elastic bumper interaction, or other dissipative effects. Now, this graph helps us observe acceleration and the general motion behavior. If the graph rises steeply, that means the slope is very high. The cart is accelerating strongly. If it rises slowly, the acceleration is weaker. That's the general interpretation of your velocity versus time graph. Now, a steeper velocity time graph again indicates greater acceleration, and a flatter velocity time graph indicates lower acceleration. So I don't know what happened to your graph. Some of you get a triangular peak and some of you obtain a smooth parabolic peak. So you have to interpret that in your discussion. For different masses, the empty cart may reach a higher velocity, and the cart with one mass may reach a lower velocity, and the cart with two masses may reach the lowest velocity. Because if you try to look at your kinetic energy equation, that would be equal to 1/2 mv squared. And if you try to move your mass to the other side, you have to cross multiply that, and you will observe that your velocity has an inverse relationship with your mass, inverse proportionality relationship with your mass. That's why if you try to increase the cart's mass, the velocity decreases, even though the potential energy almost remains the same. Well, this is expected because the elastic cord transfers approximately similar amounts of potential energy to the carts of different masses, and the heavier the cart, the lower the velocity needed to account for a similar amount of kinetic energy. Okay? Are we clear with that, guys? Can I get a thumbs up if everything is clear so far? Okay, how about the effect of increasing mass on velocity time graph? Increasing mass usually causes lower final velocity, and there is a small change in velocity because there is a slower increase in velocity, and you also have reduced peak velocity. So the reason is that the equation follows your kinetic energy is equal to 1/2 multiplied by the mass multiplied by your velocity squared. For the same amount of transferred energy, a larger mass does not need to move as fast to have the same kinetic energy. Now, that means that when the mass is increased, velocity decreases if the work input is approximately similar. If we try to make your kinetic energy constant, we will arrive with your relationship between velocity and mass as your velocity squared is inversely proportional to your mass. So the larger mass requires lower velocity to have the same kinetic energy. This means that when your mass increases, velocity decreases if the work input is approximately similar. Okay? Now, for your force position graph, this shows how the force exerted by the elastic cord changes as the cart changes its position. The expected pattern here, guys, is that a force is higher when the cord is more stretched, and the force decreases as the elastic cord contracts. Now, the graph may not be perfectly linear because the elastic cord is not an ideal spring. I don't know what graph did you get, but you must have a graph that looks like this. Some of you have some peaks here, but that's okay because again, your cord is not a perfect spring. So that would be okay in this case. Okay, now the area under this graph represents the work done. A larger area means that more work was done on the card. Okay? Now, in your calculations, pick a point here and also pick a point here. And then you're going to integrate that. Work is equal to the force. You try to find the force here, and you have to try to find the force here, multiplied by the integral of dx. Okay? Now, for your force, you're just going to get the average. So, the average of this one and the average of this one. That means that in your calculation, that would be equal to the integral of force 1 plus force 2 over 2 times the derivative of your x. And when you try to integrate that, that would be equal to f1 plus f2 over 2 multiplied by, sorry, I have to remove the integral here. We have here xo to x. So x minus xo. So you can calculate for the work done by your card. Now, for your force position graph, you have to find the position. You pick the position, actually. And then you find the force on that position to calculate for the work done by your graph. Are we clear with that? Can I get a thumbs up, guys, if that is clear? That's why you have your graphs there. Are we clear with the instructions? Okay. Now, there is, of course, an effect of increasing mass on the force position graph. Increasing the mass should not greatly change the elastic chord's force position relationship if the cord is stretched to the same starting position. The same elastic cord is used and the setup geometry actually remains constant. Now, that means that the work done by the cord may not change because of the stretch distance being controlled. However, small differences may still occur because of the release inconsistency, track friction, elastic cord behavior, and sensor noise. So you have to interpret your graph carefully. So similar stretch condition should give similar work values but not perfectly identical values because you have to account for the sources of the error in this experiment. Okay? Now, for the last graph, that would be the velocity versus position graph. And in this graph, it shows how the cart's velocity changes as the cart moves along the track. And this graph actually connects the cart's motion to its position. And this graph also helps us show where the cart speeds up the most, where it is strongly speeding up, and where the motion begins to stabilize or to slow down. And this graph is useful because time is not the only useful reference variable. Position also tells us how the cart's motion changes along the track. So in the graph of your velocity versus position, it's just like your first graph, only it is rotated 90 degrees. I hope you have seen that type of graph in your experiment. Can you verify if this is the type of graph that you obtained for your velocity versus position? Can I get a thumbs up? Kung yan ba yung graph nyo? Okay? Now, how do we interpret that graph? The expected pattern is that velocity increases as the cart moves forward. Now, velocity may reach a maximum, especially when your elastic cord has transferred most of its most of its potential energy to the kinetic energy of the cart. And heavier cart usually show lower velocity at the same position. So if you increase the mass of your cart, the velocity decreases. Now, there are differences among masses because of that, and the difference among those become visible through the velocity curves. And this graphs helps us compare how mass affects motion for similar energy input. Now, for the effect of increasing mass on velocity position graph, if you increase mass, you will usually have lower velocity at comparable position because of this formula. And when you try to solve for the velocity, that will be equal to the velocity is equal to the square root of the 2 multiplied by the work done by the cord over the mass of the cart. Again, as the mass increases, the velocity decreases. This is why heavier carts are expected to move more slowly, even if the elastic cord transfer a similar amount of energy. Now, please take note that energy and velocity are not the same. If work is approximately constant, the change in kinetic energy may also be similar. However, velocity may differ significantly because your kinetic energy can be calculated in that formula. That means that heavier cart can have similar kinetic energy but have lower velocity. This is very important, guys. This is the most important interpretation of the experiment. Adding mass may not greatly change the work done by the cord, but it can greatly change the cart's velocity. Okay, so please take note of that. So what happens when the mass increases? The velocity should change a lot. The heavier cart should move more slowly. The change in the kinetic energy may not change much if the elastic cord does the similar work, regardless of the mass of your cart. And the work done by the cord may also not change much if the cord is stretched to the same starting position and the area under the force position graph remains similar. Now, the most noticeable effect of this is that increasing mass is usually seen in the velocity graph, but that does not necessarily means that you have similar work values. Okay? So in that case, if the cord is stretched to the same starting position, the force position area may remain similar. Now, question here is which values change more across an empty card, one mass card, and two mass card trials. For the work done by the cord, it does not change much. Same cord and similar stretch distance. You did not change the constant of the cord unless there is a deformation of the said cord. No? But if there are no outside factors affecting the experiment, the work done by the cord should not change much. For the change in kinetic energy, the same thing. It must not change much and it should approximately follow your work input. Okay? However, the change in velocity is expected to change a lot because the larger mass gives a lower velocity for similar amounts of energy. Okay? Similar work does not automatically mean similar velocity. Please remember that. That is one of the most important points of this experiment. Okay tayo doon? Are we clear with that? Can I get a thumbs up, guys, if everything is clear so far? Okay tayo? Okay. Now, let's solve some problems regarding your work energy theorem. For this problem, a cart is pulled by a nearly constant force of 5.5 newtons over a displacement of 0.50 meters. Okay? Again, for your force, that would be equal to the force multiplied by the displacement. This is actually very easy. Work done is equal to 5.5 newtons multiplied by 0.50 meters. So what would be the work done in this example? Okay, let's have Sakweza.
Sir, it's ano po, 2.75 joules po.
2.75 Newton meter. Or since Newton meter is equal to joules, that means your work is equal to 2.75 joules. Okay? This means that there is a transfer of 2.75 joules of energy transferred to the card by the pulling force. Are we clear with that, guys? Can I get a thumbs up if this problem is clear? Okay tayo? Okay. How about for this problem? An empty cart has a mass of 0.55 kilogram and its initial velocity is 0.20 meters per second. Now, the final velocity of that cart is 1.5 meters per second. So we're going to calculate for the change in kinetic energy. We know that if we try to calculate for the change in kinetic energy, that would be equal to the final kinetic energy minus the initial kinetic energy. Okay? So this means that the change in kinetic energy is equal to 1/2 multiplied by the mass times velocity, final velocity squared minus 1/2 mass times the initial velocity squared. Since both of these values contains 1/2 and the mass, you can isolate it in terms of calculation. So that means that is equal to 1/2 multiplied by the mass multiplied by the final velocity squared minus the initial velocity squared. Okay, so for the change in kinetic energy, that would be equal to 1/2 times 0.55 kilograms multiplied by 1.5 meters per second squared minus 0.20 meters per second squared. So what would be the value of our change in kinetic energy? Acosta.
0.61 joules po.
Okay, so 0.61 joules. That's actually correct. No, that's for letter A. How about for the next problem? What happens to the change in kinetic energy if there is an added weight of 0.10 kilograms? So we're just going to follow this equation. Okay? So that means that the change in kinetic energy is equal to 1/2 times the mass. So there is an added weight of 0.10 kilograms. You just have to add it to the 0.55 kilograms of the empty cart. That means you have a total mass of 0.65 kilograms multiplied by the final velocity, which is 1.50 meters per second squared minus 0.2 meters per second squared. So what would be the value of the change in our kinetic energy? Garcia.
0.72 joules po.
Okay, so 0.72 joules. So with the added mass, assuming the velocity is unchanged, we have your change in kinetic energy equal to 0.72 joules. Now, these two values shows that for same velocities, increasing mass increases your kinetic energy. But please take note, in our actual experiment, increasing the mass usually lowers velocity if the work input remains similar. Okay, so if the kinetic energy is constant, that means that your velocity decreases as you increase your mass. Please remember that, ha. But if your velocity is constant, as in the case of this problem, your kinetic energy increases as you increase the mass of your cart. Are we clear with that, guys? Can I get a thumbs up if that is clear? Okay? How about for this problem? A cart with an added mass has a total mass of 0.55 kilograms. The elastic cord does 0.92 joules of work on the cart, and we have to assume that the cart starts from rest. We're going to find the final velocity of the cart. So before we plug in the values, we have to derive the equation first. Okay? So again, work net is equal to the change in your kinetic energy. So work net natin would be equal to the final kinetic energy minus the initial kinetic energy. But please take note that the cart starts from rest. So that means that your kinetic energy initial is equal to 0. Okay? So for your work net, that would be equal to 1/2 multiplied by the mass of the cart multiplied by your final velocity squared. And when we try to derive the equation, we have to cross multiply 2 here, and we have to cross multiply the mass to the denominator. That will give us final velocity squared is equal to 2 times the work net over the mass. And then we have to square root your final velocity, and this will give us a final equation of the square root of 2 times the work net over the mass of the cart. Okay? This is how we calculate for the final velocity of your cart. So to calculate for the final velocity, that would be equal to the 2 multiplied by the work net, 0.92 joules, over the mass of the cart, which is 0.55 kilograms. Please take note, ha, the given here is total mass, not the added mass. Okay? Because you might think that you will have to add some more mass because of that. But no, the given in this problem is the total mass. So to calculate for the final velocity, what would be the answer here, Madrinian?
1.83 meter per second po.
Okay, that's correct. 1.83 meters per second. So that's how you calculate for the final velocity of your cart. Are we clear? Can I get a thumbs up, guys, if that is clear? Okay. How about for this problem? A force sensor records a force of 4.5 newtons when the elastic cord is stretched by 0.18 meters. We're going to find the elastic constant, and we're also going to find the elastic potential energy stored in the cord. So again, we can calculate for your elastic potential energy as 1/2 kx squared, right? And you can calculate for the elastic constant using your Hooke's law. So for this one, it will follow your Hooke's law. F is equal to negative kx. Okay? And we are given a force and your displacement, which is 0.18 meters. So you just have to cross multiply x there. And then this will give us a value of negative force over the displacement. Okay? We just have to plug in the values. Negative force, 4.5 newtons. And then the displacement here, please take note, it is opposite of the force. So when you try to release your energy, it will contract. That means that your displacement movement is opposite to the force applied. That means that your displacement here should be negative. And this will cancel the negative out of your K. This means that the elastic cord constant is equal to how much? Arceo. Okay, so the answer here is 25 Newton meter. Okay? Then we can now calculate for the elastic potential energy using this formula. So that will be equal to 1/2 multiplied by 25 Newton per meter multiplied by the displacement, which is 0.18 meter squared. So the elastic potential energy becomes how much? Regio.
0.41 po.
Okay. 0.41. What would be the unit here, Regio? What is the unit of this calculation? Since this is potential energy, the unit should be in joules. Are we clear with that? Can I get a thumbs up, guys, if that is clear? Okay. Please don't forget the units when you calculate for your problems. How about for this? A cart has a total mass of 0.40 kilograms. The work done by elastic cord is 0.90 joules. And the cart starts from rest and reaches the final velocity of 1.80 meters per second. So first, we're going to calculate for the change in the kinetic energy. And then we're going to estimate the energy lost. Let's calculate first for the change of kinetic energy. Delta KE is equal to KEF minus KEI. However, please take note that the cart starts from rest. That means your initial kinetic energy is just equal to 0. So the change in kinetic energy is just equal to the final kinetic energy, which has a formula of 1/2 mvf squared. Okay, so you can calculate that 1/2 multiplied by the mass of the cart, 0.40 kilograms, multiplied by the velocity squared, 1.80 meters per second squared. So what would be our change in kinetic energy? Francisco.
0.65 joules po.
0.65 joules. Okay, so that would be the change in kinetic energy. And then for the estimation of the energy loss, again, please take note that the work is equal to the kinetic energy minus the losses. So you have to find this energy loss. No, let's represent that energy loss as E loss in our formula. So work is equal to kinetic energy minus your E loss. And then we just have to transpose your E loss there and your kinetic energy to the other side. Sorry, plus. So we have to transpose your E loss there. No, your kinetic energy rather. You have to transpose your kinetic energy. That means you have E loss of work minus kinetic energy. That means you have 0.90 joules of work. Please take note of that. This is the 0.90 joules of work minus the kinetic energy of 0.65 joules. So how much will be the energy loss in this problem? Hawk, hello, are you here? Can you answer the problem? How much will be our loss of energy? Hawk. I'm calling Amia. Hawk. Okay. Okay, so that's correct. 0.25 joules. Are we clear with this? Can you get a thumbs up, guys, if everything is clear so far? Okay. So for the next problem, this is just an application of your experiment actually. We have here a force position graph for the elastic cord, which gives the following approximate data. For the position, we have 4 positions here, 0, 0.1, 0.2, and 0.3. And for your force, for position 0, 0 newtons of force. For position 0.1 meter, we have 1.5 newtons of force. For position 0.20 meters, we have 3 newtons of force. And for position 0.3 meters, we have 4.5 newtons of force. So we're going to estimate the work done by the elastic cord from 0 meters to 0.30 meters. Now, for the formula of this problem, we're just going to follow the integral of the force multiplied by the derivative of your displacement. But then again, I have said earlier that you can approximate that formula using your trapezoidal rule. That means you have force 1 plus force 2 over 2 times the x minus x sub o. Okay, so we're going to calculate each. So we're going to calculate for the work here. We're also going to calculate for the work here. And then we're also going to calculate for the work here. Okay, this will give us work 1, work 2, and work 3. And for the total work, you can just calculate for your total work as work 1 plus work 2 plus work 3. Okay, let's start with your work 1. Work 1 is just equal to the force of your 0 to 0.1. That means you have 0 plus 1.5 newtons over 2 multiplied by the change in the displacement. You have there 0.1 minus 0 meters. So what would be the value of your work 1? Let's have Takaying. What would be the value of work 1?
0.075.
Okay, that's correct. 0.075 joules. Okay, how about for work 2? Work 2, that means we have this 2 position, 0.1 meter and 0.2 meters, and their forces. So for 0.1 meter, you have a force of 1.5 newtons, and for 0.2 meters, you have a force of 3 newtons. So that would just be equal to 3 newtons plus 1.5 newtons over 2 multiplied by the change in the displacement. So that would be 0.20 minus 0.1. That has meters there. So the work 2 would be equal to how much? Pareha?
0.225 po.
Okay, so 0.225 joules. Okay, and then lastly, for work 3, so this will be between 0.2 and 0.3 meters. For 0.2 meters, you have a force of 3 newtons, and for 0.3 meters, you have a force of 4.5 newtons. So this will just be equal to 4.5 newtons plus 3 newtons over 2 multiplied by the change in the displacement, 0.30 minus 0.20. There is a meter there. So make your units as joules. So what would be the value here? Alipala.
0.375 joules po, sir.
Okay, that's correct. 0.375 joules. And then for the work total, forgive me, I am writing anywhere on the screen. Work total, that would be equal to 0.075 joules plus 0.225 joules plus 0.375 joules. What would be our work total here? Can you calculate? Villarin. Villarin, are you here? Okay, I guess Villarin is not here. Contreras, can you solve for the total work? Contreras.
0.675 joules po.
Okay, so 0.675 joules. 0.675 joules. So this will be the work total. Now again, in your experiment, just pick 2 points from your force versus position graphs. The graph looks like this. You pick a position here and you pick a position here. And then please take note of the force between these 2 positions. And then you calculate for the work done. So you calculate for the work done on an empty cart. You calculate for the work done on your cart with 1 mass. And then you calculate for the work done with 2 masses. Are we clear with that, guys? Can I get a thumbs up if that is clear? Okay. And then for this problem, We have the area under the force position graph gives us the work done by the cord of 0.675 joules. The cart has a mass of 0.35 kilograms, and the cart starts nearly from rest and reaches a final velocity of 1.8 meters per second. So for this one, we're going to calculate for the change in kinetic energy. Please take note here, nearly from rest. To account for error, you can just say that the kinetic energy, the initial kinetic energy is just equal to 0. That's just to account for the error. Okay, so we can calculate for the change in kinetic energy as KEF minus KEI. So that would cancel out the KEI. This will give us a change of kinetic energy just equal to 1/2 mvf squared. That means you have 1/2 times 0.35 kilograms multiplied by the final velocity, which is 1.8 meters per second squared. What would be the value of the final kinetic energy here? Sagittarius.
0.57 joules po, sir.
0.57 joules. But as you can see, the work done by the cord is 0.675 joules. So there are some losses. We can calculate again for the loss using this formula. Work is equal to your kinetic energy plus the energy from your loss. Okay, so we just have to transpose your kinetic energy. Therefore, energy from the loss is equal to the work minus your kinetic energy, which is equal to 0.675 joules minus your kinetic energy, which is 0.57 joules. So how much energy was lost in this? Please calculate, Iroy.
0.1, sir.
0.1.
1.
There are no
No following na po.
okay. So 0.1 joules. Okay? Now for your final question, what is the percent of work converted into kinetic energy? Now for this, please take note that the equation for the third problem, percent converted is equal to the change in the kinetic energy over work done by the cord times 100. Please take note of this equation, ha? Again, percent converted is equal to the change in kinetic energy over the work done times 100. That means that for the percent converted, forgive me, I am writing anywhere on this screen. Percent converted, that would be equal to the kinetic energy, which is equal to 0.57 joules over your work, which is 0.675 joules. So what would be the percent converted here? Rojas, can you calculate for this one, Rojas?
84.4% po.
84.4%. Okay, that is correct. Okay, so that's how you calculate for your percent of work being converted into kinetic energy. In an ideal system, that should have been 100%, but again, we do not live in an ideal world, so there are bound to be some losses. You just have to account for those losses. Okay? Now, to summarize the entire experiment, the elastic cord did work on the cart by exerting the force over a displacement. And because the force was variable, work was best determined using the area under the force position graph. And we can calculate for your work energy theorem as your work net. Again, please take note, work net is equal to the change in your kinetic energy. So the work done by the cord should approximately equal to the cart's change in the kinetic energy. Again, in an ideal case, the values would be equal. In the actual laboratory setup, they may differ because of friction, because of internal deformation, because of the air resistance, the track leveling issues, because of vibration, sound, and sensor limitation. Please take note, the most important interpretation of this experiment is increasing mass usually changes the velocity more noticeably than it changes work or kinetic energy. If the cord does approximately the same amount of work, a heavier cart moves more slowly because the same energy is distributed over a larger mass. Okay? It is also about energy transfer. Work changes kinetic energy, and this principle applies not only to cards and elastic cords, but you can also apply it to biological movement, for muscle contraction, for muscle extension, for tendon elasticity, for running, for jumping, lifting, rehabilitation, and biomechanics, which will be our next experiment on Wednesday. Okay, experiment 3 is all about biomechanics. Are we clear with that, guys? Can I get a thumbs up if everything is clear so far?